All right, and welcome back to the Shuttlecock podcast. My name is Aaron Rhodes, and today on the show we have Jack Marsh.
Howdy.
How you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Awesome. And just a reminder, the show is sponsored by the Vinyl Underground at 7th Heaven, located at 76 and Troost in Kansas City, Missouri, offering new and used vinyl. So yeah, how's it going, Jack? You got your
got a fruit by the foot in my mouth.
Fruit by the foot in his mouth. In case we have any audio listeners who are wondering just what is going on right now.
Oh, it was good. It was worth it.
Yeah, and Jack also pulled up today with a nice sandwich from Gates Barbecue.
Yeah, and it was also tasty.
So Jack just knows how to grub, I guess, is
I know how to grub.
one conclusion you can draw from this.
That is a conclusion you can draw from this.
And if anyone also wonders why Jack and I have such a great rapport already, it's because I've known Jack for quite some time.
I've known Aaron for quite some time, too. It's been a long, probably 7 or 8 years since, what, did we meet each other in 8th grade?
Yeah, 7th or 8th grade, I think.
Yeah.
It's one fateful day when Jack messaged me on Facebook and asked me
to go to the mall.
I met up at the Barnes & Noble, and we've been rocking ever since.
Andrew Kellison gave me a San Francisco Giants hat.
I think that was a topic of much fighting over for at least a little bit. I'm pretty sure, did he not accuse you of stealing that same hat from him?
I believe. Sorry, I got some fruit by the foot. I believe that he maybe did at one point, and I kind of shut him down about it. I was like, "Dog, you gave it to me the first day we ever hung out. What are you talking about?"
Well, I guess it's settled then. But yeah,
or maybe it was the second time we hung out, but he definitely gave it to me one of those times.
So Andrew, if you're listening, come catch the hands, I guess.
Come catch the hands, Andrew. I just smoked a spliff with you, but please come catch the hands.
No, yeah, and our buddy Andrew also works at the 7th Heaven right now, so I guess if you go in to pick up some records downstairs, you can wave hi to Andrew while you do
go
so.
Say what's up to Andrew. Go check out water pipes and...
No, I'm sure he has plenty of amazing wares he
water
can
pipes and porno.
peddle to you.
Yeah, plenty of water pipes and porno.
But yeah, Jack, what was your first favorite music that you got into? I'm guessing that your dad had something to do with some of that.
My dad had a lot to do with a lot of that. I remember him showing me Devo and the Talking Heads and the Ramones at a young age, and I also remember him showing me an ungodly amount of the Beatles.
Oh, yeah. That's always been his thing.
That's really, honestly, that's just his thing. And Elvis is also his thing. He was an Elvis impersonator for quite some time in the 90s. And he introduced me to a lot of Elvis, too.
Did he make any kind of living off of that at any point, or was he?
He wasn't making a living necessarily, but he just do it at bars. I think they'd give him money or tips
probably won
or
some
something.
contests or something.
Probably some shit like that. But he would do the Elvis, and mostly in bars in Lawrence in the 90s.
And I know there's a pretty iconic photo of him doing an Elvis impersonation in the bed of a truck or something like that.
There's a video of him, if I'm not mistaken. He was on a float trip or something, and some of his pals. And
what's a good float trip without an Elvis impersonation?
Without an Elvis impersonation, right? And he just did his thing. He went up and did the whole thing.
Did he have any specific songs that he liked to do when he was doing this?
He mostly did the fucking intro thing to Aloha from Hawaii. That was his main go-to, I'm pretty sure.
Nice. And he does have a bit of a record collection too. And so maybe he was showing you the records? Or?
He showed me a lot of the records. He showed me Are We Not Men? I remember when I was 8, I think, and that one really struck a chord with me. Rocket to Russia by the Ramones was also a record that I got into pretty early. I also just kind of fucked like Rage Against the Machine.
and those are all pretty good primers for starting punk bands eventually, right?
Well, yeah, and then what else? I watched a lot of MTV Jams growing up. I watched so much MTV Jams and a lot of MTV and VH1 in general.
And I guess that primed your taste for hip hop at this point.
Oh, definitely.
So, I don't know, maybe I'm stretching it, but I think both of us are both pretty big on punk and hip hop.
Yes.
But I remember when we met, you were pretty all in on just independent rock.
I was pretty all in on just like indie shit when I was 13, 14, 15.
I think you were the first person I knew who paid for a Spotify subscription.
I believe that I was.
You're just queuing up endless.
Elliott
Smith.
And yeah, I fucked with Two Door Cinema Club super hard when I was a freshman in high school. That was my shit.
Did you and Bennett get into that together, or was that just
that was a Bennett thing, kind of. But we both, I don't know if he showed them to me or if I showed them to him. I can't remember. But yeah, just bullshit like Passion Pit and things of that sort.
Do you feel any sort of nostalgia for that now? Or
no.
You're just pretty over it?
I'm pretty over it. I couldn't really, I mean, some of that shit I could go back and listen to like seminally, but
just doesn't do it for you.
It doesn't
right now.
really do it for me anymore.
That's all right.
It did for a while, but then you grow up and you branch out.
And yeah, and I guess part of that first branching out was when we were going to some gigs together.
Yes, I remember getting hit in the head at Gag super hard.
Yeah, at Bad House?
At Bad House. That was one of the first shows I remember going to.
One of the storied punk houses of the early 2010s.
Bad House had a different energy about it, for real, compared to punk now. It was just like encapsulating, but also very intimidating. Like it like really drew you in, but it also kind of stamped you out at the same time.
Do you think that's a positive thing or a negative thing?
I think there's positives to the camaraderie around listening to as much obscure punk music as you possibly can. But I think there's negatives to beating people out of shows just because they haven't been around very long. I don't really get down with that. I mean, I think you got to have kind of a legit reason to like beat somebody out of a show, you know?
So you think it kind of ended up being a little insular of an environment?
A little bit. It definitely insular, but I think there's still value to getting that into punk, you know? Like, I think I don't see that as much from people our age, like that, like, energy devoted towards really caring about punk, you know?
More, you think like things are being treated a bit more as like a social scene rather than like
absolutely
focus on music.
I think people should definitely just really first and foremost listen to punk. If you care about punk, listen to punk. It's worth it. I'm telling you. there's so much of it, and it's so cool.
Yeah, so that's some of like one of the more like the earlier experiences you had, and that was a pretty legendary show in general too, because the Nodes played that also. Mm-hmm. There was that British band Stab and Sudafeds.
So that was did Sudafeds play that?
I think so.
Wow.
And then Wretched Race, which was like a very short-lived Kansas City band, and it was one of the earlier New Cult shows also.
It was also a very early New Cult show. I remember that was cool.
And yeah, so what, like, you did have like a little prior knowledge of punk within like the records your dad showed you and maybe some of what you found on the internet.
Watching American hardcore on IFC at 7 in the morning before I went to school.
Yeah, but what do you think finally like kind of made it click that this was like a community that you wanted to be a part of?
I just fucking actually sat down and listened to some shit, and it blew my mind. And then I went to a couple shows that totally blew my mind. As I was 17, and that's when it's really supposed to blow your mind, like when you're 16, 17, young, getting into it. Like, yeah, that's what it does to you. I mean, I'm sure, like, little Rocky is feeling a lot of that right now. But
shout out Rocky.
Shout out to Rocky, which is cool, because I like seeing that. Like, I like seeing kids get into punk, like, super hard. It reminds me of when I was a kid getting into punk.
Yeah, it's always a nice little refresher to see that it still connects with some people, I think.
Definitely. It's really cool seeing people, like, come out as much as they do now, but I think people are very focused on maintaining the social order of punk, but don't really care about the work that goes into it. And I think there's a lot that you have to put in. If you get out what you put in at this shit. And I've put in some. I'd like to put in more. Other people have put in more than me. I respect that. And that's just how it works with shit like this. Like, it's a completely... And if you want to argue that that's, like, an elitist notion, like...
I don't think that's very elitist at all. Like, I think it's one of the few kind of communities or, like, parts of American society where you get out exactly what you put in most of the time. Like, with, when you go to your job, like working at a restaurant or something, your boss reaches in and pulls out some of the excess for profit. But when you're playing in a DIY band, there's no one to do that to you. So I think it is very much like monetarily and, kind of fulfillingly the same thing like that.
Yeah, for sure. That's the bottom line. I mean, just of everything that I do and that everybody I know who does this shit does is you just get out what you put in. And it's some people put in nothing and expect everything. And that just doesn't, it's not how it works.
Yep. Are there any more of those, like, kind of earlier shows that you remember, like, just getting very excited about? Like,
Lumpy and the Dumpers with Fault Finder. I remember Fault Finder.
Would that have been at Focal?
That was at Focal, and Lumpy and the Dumpers played last, and just seeing everybody slam blew my mind. And seeing just, like, the moment that, like Lumpy was playing Face the Meat, and he goes, 1, 2, fuck you, and it just everybody just went off so hard, harder than they do now, and it was just amazing. It was just so like amazing to see. It just like completely like took my breath away and made me want to slam, you know? And that hasn't really changed since then. That's really kind of the moment where I was like, whoa, like, okay, this is something that I could probably fit in doing. And not only that, I really enjoy it. I really fuck with it. It's my type of art, you know?
Yeah, and you're talking about like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and that's just like peak Midwest like slime punk.
Yeah.
BS.
That shit was the shit. It was like so. I miss it a lot. I wish that it didn't go the way it did in a lot of ways.
I think Midwest punk has kind of gone in like a few different directions since then. It kind of just like branched out and isn't like one central sound as much anymore.
No.
And I think there's positive sides to that and also negative sides. But yeah, how do you?
Sure.
Is there anything you specifically feel about that happening?
I feel like it's certainly less unified than it used to be. Certainly less bands coming in from out of town just to hop on shows like they did back in the day. Because honestly, like, people are too concerned with not wanting to come off as elitist or holier than thou by how much they put into their music. And there's positives and negatives to that.
So you think there are more people are like being more apathetic about their music?
People are being more apathetic about their music, for sure. People aren't thinking about what they're putting into their bands as much as they did.
Is this something that like in like Nitecrawlers or Killakee Kat, is that something like you have discussed with like your bandmates or something you've actively like put into your writing?
Tried to express that to people that I do music with, and I don't know, it's hard to get people on board with the notion that all you have to do to make a good punk band is listen to cool, obscure punk and actually like get into it and care. And care about the practices of it and the like just care about buying zines and buying shit off of distros and supporting people who are making and doing within this culture more than just a place to hang out, you know? And I think the expression is just getting, when you don't have the input of people doing it all around you, and you don't have the really even like, you don't even seek the any inspiration in like past aesthetics of punk or anything like that. You don't, that doesn't like spark your interest at all. Like, why are you trying to be in a punk band? Like, why, you know? I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I wish that it was easier to express to people because punk could be very sick, but it's just nobody's unified around punk like they were when I started getting into it.
And do you think that has anything?
Everybody's unified around some kind of vague notion of general unity. And I don't know.
Do you think that has anything to do with like just kind of growing a little older and having a wider perspective?
I think a little bit, yeah. But also I've just seen how it's changed.
Yep.
And have that perspective. And I don't know. It has, like if you're gonna talk shit on punk, like do something within what we do. If you're gonna have any room to criticize, you should be making in order for that criticism to have any weight.
Yep. Oh yeah, and I think one of the kind of classic struggles among like punk scenes and stuff is like the like just apathy in general, is because punk is often about being apathetic to some things while fighting apathy in other terms, like kind of fighting political apathy, but while being like kind of personally apathetic about like feelings and jobs and stuff like that. So it is kind of an inner struggle that I think has always been there, but I don't know, maybe just Kansas City is losing that struggle more than it's winning it right now.
Yeah.
In some people's opinions. I don't know.
I think it's just with how many people moved away and stuff, it's really hard to get everybody back to that, because there isn't that input from the people who were doing it before and from the people who have been doing it. And that's just, it sucks, but you got to do what you can. I mean, I'm going to be living in St. Louis in a couple months, but I'm going to be back here, like, recording and starting new projects and still doing what I do in a sense, like, here.
Yeah, so you want to stay pretty connected, even though you won't be. What makes you want to, like, what's drawing you to St. Louis right now?
I just fucking love it out there. I love all my friends out there and just the architecture and all the decay everywhere. And it's a place where you can be a scumbag like Kansas City, except it's got like a different feel to it, And I just, I love it. I love all the food and all the cool spots everywhere, all the cool architecture, and just everybody I know out there is also like working super hard and grinding and like has like jobs and side hustles and just are, and that's like something that I kind of want to do, like. And I don't know. I just feel like there aren't as many opportunities to do that in Kansas City. Like,
and it's funny. I think I saw like someone made a status like the other day calling like Kansas City kind of dumpy or something like that. And you're like, that's why I'm moving to somewhere even dumpier, St. Louis.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I love living in dumpy cities.
Please use the next 30 seconds to advocate for why living in somewhere dumpy is cool.
Okay, living in somewhere dumpy is cool because you can get drunk on somebody's porch, roll off the porch, and like be shirtless, and it's totally cool. And you can just do a lot of cocaine, go to work the next day. You can just cheaply acquire anything that you want. You can walk down the street and go to Fast Stop or One Stop or wherever the fuck, whatever stop you want to go to, and just
It's all about
get
stops.
drunk
Yeah.
for really cheap, and you can do whatever.
To get back to the music stuff, we got Jack's first punk band, my first punk band.
Yeah.
But you were kind of in the second lineup of it. We got Bad Mouth. Tell the people about Bad Mouth.
Well, Bad Mouth was something. It was when we were all 17, 16. I remember the first time I played with that band, I was 16, and I filled in for somebody.
Yeah,
It was
Sasha,
yeah.
couldn't make it to a show.
And
Or wait, it might have been Stephanie, because you were playing bass, right?
I was playing the bass.
Okay.
It must have been Stephanie. And I remember doing that. And then I remember maybe like 6 months later, you asked me if I wanted to play bass. And then ended up drumming. And we did that. Played, I think, a few shows together. And then Bennett went to boarding school. And yeah,
That was, and if anyone's interested in that story, because it's kind of a crazy story, you can go back and listen to Bennett Weaver's episode of the podcast and get all of the juicy boarding school stories. That was a frightening time for us friends of him. We were like, where did our friend go? We did not know. You were kind of the first one to find out like what happened, but
yeah.
it's a strange time. And I think the next band you did after Bad Mouth was Junkie SS. You were playing bass in that band, right?
Chunky SS. Oh my God, yeah.
Fronted by one and only Noah Hayes.
Fucking, yeah. Yep. And Trey was in it, and Steve.
Yeah.
And that was interesting.
Yeah. What was your time in that band like?
It was, they're playing Boston hardcore worship sound and stuff. Kind of Sid Youth, sort of. And it was... It only lasted for a few months, but it was pretty fun. We played with Glue, which was cool. I remember.
Yeah, that was the Art Closet show, right?
Yeah, and then we played several other shows, and that was that.
And I think that counts as like, I like to look at it like when you're fronting bands, like kind of like third time's a charm, and that was Noah's second band, and then his third was the Drippies. So I think maybe that was a necessary step into fronting a very awesome band in the Drippies.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. I think Noah fronting his early Noah bands was a big step into him. It contributed a lot to his presence in the Drippies for sure. But Noah, I love Noah Hayes.
Noah, we love Noah. Noah's great.
Noah is Noah.
The Noah Hayes, Noah Blaze.
Vanilla Blaze.
All about it. But yeah, I think and Killakee Kat kind of came next, quickly followed by the Drippies.
Killakee Kat, yeah. Killakee Kat was actually, it started out with Bennett.
Yeah, that was Bennett's recording project first.
Yeah, he was recording some stuff up at boarding school and used the moniker Killakee Kat, I guess. And then we got back here and we kind of turned Killakee Kat into something else and started playing shows, I think, like middle of 2015. Late middle of 2015.
And it's kind of something I've
Or
written,
2014 maybe? No, it was 2015.
It's probably 15.
It was 15.
But it's something I've kind of written about in a couple of different like photo gallery write-ups and like music reviews of like just kind of like Killakee Kat is like kind of unlike a lot of Kansas City punk bands to where like the sound has really kind of evolved over time, and it's not like it's taken like a crazy left turn, but it kind of has just like grown into itself in a really like it's kind of matured a little bit, but also gotten more complex, but still really angry and cool at the same time. Is that anything you have like input on?
I think we're getting better at playing riffs. I don't know, like it's getting over the years. We've gotten tighter, I guess, and I guess it shows. I don't know. I record it and then I listen to it. I listen to people listen to it, but I have to play it, and I don't know. I've definitely like, I think it's just a product of getting better at the bass and getting better at guitar and drums. Out of all of us, like, we've just gotten tighter, and I guess with tour and things of that sort, we'll continue to get tighter, and that's cool. I like being in a tight band.
So you see that band continuing on for some time, even though you won't be living here full time?
Yeah, for sure. It'll be that we're gonna record a 7-inch probably sometime before the summer.
And it's about time. Like after we were cheated out of the Drippies 7-inch, we'll be rewarded with.
I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody on the Drippies' behalf for our botched 7-inch. I'm sorry it never happened. I wish it could have happened.
And so, do you think you guys are going to go like neck chop or someone for the Killakee? Like if they'll pick that up?
That's worth looking into, I would say. I think we might go that route if they're interested. I mean, I don't know if they want to fucking put our music out, but
yeah, maybe even Lumpy would. Maybe what's up, Martin? How you doing? Maybe
who knows? Shout out to Marty. Hi, Marty.
But yeah, and I want to, man, I think you're the only member of this band that I've had on, but I want to quickly touch on Narc Parade, one of a series of gone too soon Kansas City punk bands.
Parade.
Tell me the story of Narc Parade.
Narc Parade was a band with me and Jacob Martella and Bennett and somebody who shall not be named.
Okay, yeah, Bennett was in that band too. I always forget. Bennett's in every band. I should just
and it was pretty cool, I guess. I like being in that band. We played a lot of real fast hardcore, and that's what I like to play. So I like being in that band naturally.
Some good hardcore.
Hardcore.
Okay, what else we got here? I've talked to Kayla about Nitecrawlers before.
Yep.
That was a fun little podcast episode we had.
It was a good one.
And yeah, what's been up with Nitecrawlers lately?
Well, Kayla's been real sick, so it's hard to get anything going, really. And I wish we could, but I don't know, like,
do you guys
we could put more into that band, but
do you guys have songs that like haven't like that aren't from the demo and stuff?
We have songs that we have written that are not finished, but I wish they were finished.
Hopefully, time will allow that to happen.
Yeah,
we'll get some new tunes from the Crawlers. Okay, yeah, and I don't know how like closely associated with Obscenity Plugs you are, but I saw your name is like kind of on the band.
Yeah, I worked on a little bit of that stuff with Bennett. I played the drums on a few tracks, and I also like played some synths and kind of helped him out a little bit with the production.
What did you think when Bennett first brought those songs to you?
I was really impressed. I think Bennett knows how to write a good sad record, and he really put it together well. And I kind of want to listen to that in the car on the way to work.
And did that spark any ambition of yours to write kind of poppier or like not as angry music in the future? Like,
I would really like to be in an emo band.
Yeah,
I would really like to do that. I think I've always been a fan of that particular subset of music, and I know Bennett's down to write some emo songs. I know he already has.
Yeah, they kind of tried doing the Windows 95 for a second.
Yeah,
that kind of petered out.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, what emo bands like really do it for you? Like what kind of era and everything?
Oh, well, I really like it's kind of a guilty pleasure, but I'm really into American football.
Yeah, American football's tight.
Yeah.
You don't gotta be guilty about that.
Yeah, word. And cap and jazz and things of that nature. And I really like newer shit, like Elvis Presley, Alex G, car seat headrest sort of stuff. Which
Jack is a fan of sad music of all times. All eras.
Of all times. And all eras. Frankie Cosmos is also pretty cool.
Oh yeah. And
I like that stuff. Yeah, you can listen to punk and you can like whatever the fuck you want to like. Book it.
But just make sure you also listen to punk.
Make sure you also listen to punk though.
If you're doing punk stuff, listen to punk music.
Goddamn right. And don't bullshit. Don't go around bullshitting and listening to At the Drive-In and shit like that.
Is there someone you want to call out right now that
No.
you caught listening to At the Drive-In?
No, not anybody in particular, but listen to punk. And don't beat around the bush.
But yeah, is there anything else going on in Kansas City that you're real excited about right now? Just doesn't even have to be music.
There's the Pris Small Man Drug Charge Big Bangin' Bopper show coming up.
That'll be tight.
On I can't remember what day. And then we got Nitecrawlers is playing with Blank Spell pretty soon on March 7th in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And then I'll be at Everything Is Not Okay for like probably a day, hanging out, get some Cajun King.
Find Jack Marsh if you're in Oklahoma.
Probably just see Ron Irv or something. Come see me, yeah. Come say what's up. Come get some food with me.
Nice.
Don't be a stranger.
You have any shout-outs for Kansas City bands or other stuff people should check out? Any cool restaurants you need to put people on to? What do you got to say, Jack Marsh?
Damn, Las Campas is dope. Dollar tacos every day. Go.
Where's that one at?
Linwood and something. It's across the street from Taco Bell.
Word.
And like next to Linwood Superfoods. Or maybe China Feast. Either one. But it's dope. Check it out.
Word. So I think that'll about wrap it up. Fist pound. People can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Shuttlecock Mag. Visit the web store on the shuttlecockmag.bigcartel.com for t-shirts, buttons, and photo zines. We have another Shuttlecock house party coming up at the Come and Go house with Samurai, Gun Band, and Rage Gang Beam Team. That's on March 17th. Go to our social media for details on that.
That's going to be sick.
And what else is happening?
Stiff Love. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention Stiff Love.
Stiff Love is coming. They're playing at the Come and Go,
They're playing at the Come and Go on March 25th with Gorbza from Columbia. So come out to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, where can people find you and your bands on the internet, Jack?
I am the 420 Friendly Man, and you can find me on Instagram at 420 Friendly Man.
And Nitecrawlers and Killakee Kat both have band camps that people can Google, I guess.
Yeah, we got band camps. Nightcrawler's got a band camp. Killakee Kat got a band camp.
Just throw them some cash, download those tunes.
Check us out on Bandcamp.
Awesome. Well,
Listen to our shit.
Listen to their shit. You heard. Okay. But yeah, thanks for being on the show today, Jack.
Thank you. No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Boom.